So out with the dinosaurs and in with the new. And the new, according to the New Nigeria People's Party, or NNPP, is of course the NNPP. On the heels of what it describes as a massive road show across Nigeria, the party has inaugurated its presidential campaign council, a bit later than the other frontline parties, but still over a month ahead of the presidential ballot in late February. So what difference is the council likely to make to the political fortunes of the NNPP and its presidential candidate Rabiu Kwankwaso in 2023?
Will continue to work assiduously to ensure the success of our great party, the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, in this year's general elections and the emergence of a new Nigeria, a Nigeria where justice and fairness are assured, a Nigeria where safety and security are guaranteed, a Nigeria where peace and prosperity are assured, a Nigeria where equity and opportunities are available and accessible to all Nigerians, a Nigeria where quality education and modern healthcare services are accessible and guaranteed to all, and a Nigeria where governance is about the yearnings and the aspirations of all the citizens.
And that's the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the National Publicity Secretary of the NNPP, Agbo Major. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. You had a very busy day.
Oh, yes.
So we appreciate the fact that you took the time to come and talk to us.
It's okay. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Tell us more about this Presidential Campaign Council. Who are the notable figures in it?
Well, first, it's important that I let viewers know that the Campaign Council, as inaugurated today, is made up of very experienced politicians. Of course, you could be looking for names, the so-called big names. You may not find them there.
Well, I said notable. They don't have to be
notable
big names, but
yeah.
notable.
Okay, notable names. Yeah, when you talk, you see, one of the focus of our political party is the fact that it's a party that focuses on the grassroots. And and that's why it's New Nigeria People's Party. So in everything we do, we'll continue to bring out new faces, new ideas. You understand what I'm talking about? Just trying to add color to what has been done in the past. So you may be looking for notable names. You may not see them. They are the background. But what we have in place beginning from this afternoon is simply an assemblage of grassrooted politicians.
Well, the key thing is effective people, isn't it?
That's just the thing. You know, grassrooted politicians who know exactly what they want and who have the focus to ensure that we have a country that works for all of us, a country that is new. And so the notable names that you may be looking for, you won't be able to see them. But what is important is that we have a PCC in place that is set to roll. And so the tempo definitely is going to change beginning from today.
And what you talk about the tempo changing, what are the priorities of this campaign council? Because I mean, you've just got over a month to go before the presidential election. So I would imagine they'd hit the ground running.
Yeah, they're only coming to add impetus to what has been done so far. Of course, you know, His Excellency, our presidential candidate, Senator Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, has been on the road all this while, going from one community to the other, from one village to the other, from one town to the other. And so what the council that is in place from today is expected to do is to add more bites, you know. So we haven't lost any time at all, because the presidential candidate with his able team has been everywhere. And so what we expect the PCC that has been constituted today, that has been inaugurated today to do, like I said, is to put in more energy, put in more direction, you know, and then take this struggle further down to the ordinary people at the grassroots. Our attention majorly is on those who have the PVCs at the grassroots level. And so we expect that beginning from today, of course, more energy will be put in, more, and so we expect that in no time at all, we should be able to complement what His Excellency has done so far to better reposition the party for greater results on the 25th of February.
Because I mean, the reason I'm asking that is that I'm wondering whether there's greater urgency in what you're doing, because I mean, you must be looking at things from a scientific point of view as well. And if you look at all the polls so far, they all place your candidate behind the other front runners. And I mean, however you interpret that is up to you, but I would imagine that those kinds of numbers would be giving a greater sense of urgency to your campaign council to get out there and try and get the job done.
That's why I started by trying to let you know that the members of this PCC that was inaugurated today are drawn from the midst of the ordinary people in the villages. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, drawn from the midst of the ordinary people, in the villages, across the smaller communities and all of that.
Right, but ordinary people have never driven elections in Nigeria, have they? I mean, there's always been, particularly in the north of the country, which you know better than I do, I mean, there's always that sense that you need more sort of pivotal people to be able to help ginger the ordinary.
That's one of the things that NNPP has set out to dislodge. We want power to return to the people. And so we want the ordinary people to be the ones to determine who would lead them across all the levels, from the presidency through the governorship positions up to National Assembly and State Assembly and all of that. We're working assiduously to ensure that we return power to the people. So the era, what Nigerians want to see now, and we keep saying it on air, what Nigerians want to see now is an era that people are able to determine who leads them, not the kind of people who are always there, each time there's election, they come to tell you, we will determine who goes there, who goes to which position and all of that. And that's what the party sets out to dismantle. And we have gone very far towards ensuring that no single individual sits at the comfort of his room to determine who leads this country at any level. The party has gone very deep into that, and we are sure that by the 25th of February, Nigerians will be very shocked. Those who believe that it's still business as usual. Somebody has to sit down somewhere to determine who is president, to determine who is governor of Nasarawa State, for instance, to determine who is senator representing Benue South and all of that. They'll be very shocked to their marrows. They will wake up and discover that that has become a thing of the past. And so that's why our emphasis majorly is centered around the ordinary people. So we want them to, for the first time, be the ones to determine who leads them at any level. And that is one thing that the NNPP is doing that is quite unique, that is different from what you see the other political parties and their candidates doing. And we are sure that from the feelers we are getting, we are sure that that is the mood of Nigerians, and they are keen into it. And we are sure that they would do the needful, they would do what is right to ensure, and of course, that they take back power.
Right. Presidential campaigns are ludicrously expensive things, aren't they? I mean, how is the NNPP doing financially? Because a significant part of your campaign, I would imagine, will be for funds, and you said as much at your PCC campaign, PCC council launch today. I mean, you're asking for money.
We have deliberately made our elections and the electioneering process, outrageously expensive. And that's one of the reasons why people get into power, they're unable to deliver, I don't want to go into the details of why they're unable to deliver, but you and I and viewers understand what I'm trying to say. But for the first time, like I always have said, this is a political party that belongs to the ordinary people, funded by the ordinary people. We've kept ourselves strictly to what the law permits should be the major sources of generation of funds for the party to be able to run, which is that people should be able to, ensure that they subscribe, to whatever should be done, whatever is required of them for you to be a card-carrying member of the party. Of course, the amount is small, but then, because of the large size of followership that we now have, we have no issues generating the funds that is required, to get our job done, to get our operations, done with relative ease. But one of the things I want to let you know is, one of the things we also want to deal with is this idea that you need to have a whole lot of this money before you can win election in this country. And that has affected us. It has affected our development. It has also distracted those who are elected into various positions from being able to deliver on the promises that is made. Because once you get there, when you have to spend so much to get there, the first thing you are thinking of is, what do I do to recoup? What do I do to be able to, pay back what has been taken from one or two people who incidentally are those who determine who leads. But for the first time, we're telling Nigerians that we have a party that belongs to you, a party that is populated by the ordinary people, the peasants, who barely needs to be helped and all of that. And so we keep challenging them that they need to do what is right by ensuring that they don't get swayed by the money that is moved around by those candidates who, if I'm not going to be too harsh, those candidates who have had opportunities in the past to help themselves from the public patrimony of the country. And so we have presented ourselves. We strongly believe that we presented a candidate that has stayed all along on the side of the ordinary people. And we have continued to tell Nigerians, don't look at whether we have that deep pocket or not. What we are saying is, for the first time, we want you to be part of this process that will throw up a president that understands your pain. The president that is coming, that is His Excellency Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, may not have the whole of that money to throw around, but all the necessary expenses that are required to be done as a political party, logistics requirement, movement across, like you see him do, like we're also going to begin to do as from Wednesday. Such funding is not a problem, but what we want to discourage is this idea that you need to have a deep pocket before you're able to win election, because he's committed and focused towards ensuring that he delivers as the president of the nation. And so we don't want him to be tied to one form of commitment or the other financially that would limit his capacity and ability to deliver when he's in office. So we will continue to talk to Nigerians on the need to do what is right. They shouldn't be taken away by those spoils that are coming from those other candidates. They should, for the first time, do what is right by ensuring that they choose a president that is on their side.
Well, let's turn to matters your candidate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, will have to deal with if he wins. A huge debt profile of 77 trillion naira, very little revenue to work with, falling crude oil output. What do you make of all that, especially in the context of the spending plan that the NNPP has listed in its manifesto?
Well, since the debt profile of the nation was made available within the public sphere, we have had reasons to make consultations with experts, economic experts, and they've continued to insist that there is no place in the world where debts like these are paid outrightly. What happens is you could reschedule them in such a way that paying off wouldn't affect what you need to do in terms of infrastructures, what you need to do as a government. So we are not bothered. Of course, it's unfortunate that Nigeria has been railroaded into this volume of debt. It's worrisome to us as an incoming government, but then we still strongly believe that the first thing His Excellency would do once he's in power is to look for these creditors and then see how some of these debts could be renegotiated in such a way that getting them paid wouldn't be a problem in terms of, in the angle of having resources available to be able to run a government that will be able to deliver on these promises infrastructurally and otherwise. So we are not bothered, but like I said, we are worried that Nigeria has been taken up to this level. But then we're not worried by the time we're in there. And like we always say, we intend to shore up our revenue generation profile. How do we want to do that? First, all the leakages would be plugged,
But those things take time. Those things take time.
I don't know
you
how
have to identify the leakages.
No, we already know where the problems are.
And then you've got to have an effective policing system in order to plug those.
Nigeria is a mono economy. It relies heavily on oil. And all emphasis is there. Already the intelligence is there. The entire information is there. We already know, the hemorrhaging industry, the oil industry is hemorrhaging. We already know. We know where the problems are.
Well, that's just one area, isn't it?
Yes, that's by the time that is plugged, that would be, at least it will give an NNPP government the opportunity to be able to shore up resources. But then, like we always have said, Where is our agriculture, which was a major revenue earner in the past? Where are the other areas? We intend to diversify the economy, get the agricultural sector working so that it will be able to help us in revenue like it has been done in the past.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking you these questions, and I apologize for interrupting you, is that, I mean, you're coming in at a time with such massive debt, very little revenue coming in, much of it going to just servicing the debt, not actually, paying the actual debt, just servicing it. And there is considerable surprise that we're not hearing much about the budget, for example. I mean, that's been the talk of the town for the last few days. We're not hearing much about that from leading presidential candidates such as Mr. Kwankwaso, because, I mean, as one analyst said, it's a budget that he's going to have to implement if he wins.
Well, we have an economic team in place that is looking in depth at the budget that has just been signed into law. And I can tell you that in the next few days, we should be able to begin to talk consistently on the budget as released by this present government. Because like you rightly have said, it's a budget that he is going to have to implement because it's taken over by May, which means that...
if he wins.
No, he will, Definitely, we are very sure he will. We are getting feedback
I'm
from
sure
Nigerians.
You would say that.
We are comprehensively sure that he is the next president of the country. And so by the time the economic team finishes, we should be able to begin to tell you now what we feel about the budget, what we think should have been the budget, what we think now that there's a budget in place, what do we do, and all of that. So the team is working on it. So let me not preempt what would be their findings eventually.
Right.
But by the time they are done, we'll be able to come back here to tell you
right.
what they are telling us as experts.
Well, I know you took time off a lot of meetings and things to come and join us this evening, and we're very grateful. So before we let you go, what's next on the campaign agenda for the NNPP?
Well, we having been able to do about 95% of these village-to-village, community-to-community interactions, the next phase, which would begin on Thursday in Bauchi, would be the zonal rallies. So by Thursday, we will be in Bauchi for the Northeast zonal rally. There, he would be presenting flags to the 6 governorship candidates from the 6 northeastern states, as well as our senatorial candidates and House of Representatives candidates. From there, on the 14th, we will be in Kaduna for the Northwest zonal rally at the Ahmad Bello Stadium. And then on the 16th, which is Monday, next week, we would be in Lafia for the North Central zonal rally. By the time, after that, he will take a break because he's going to take a quick trip out of the country on the 17th to return again around 20th. And then we will now be heading, by the time he's back, we'll be heading towards the south-south, the southwest, and the southeast. Once that is done, we'll come back again, do an appraisal of what has been done so far, and then we start again state by state. By the time we're done with that, we'll be set for the election.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for bringing us up to date. Agbo Major is the National Publicity Secretary of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Kevin.